Good afternoon and welcome. The ceremony will start in just a few moments and the procession is on its way. But before that, I have a few obligatory requests and notices. Can I ask that all mobile phones are on silent, switched to flight mode or switched off, please? If I can ask you to check your phones. The last couple of services we've had all sorts of text messages and diary alerts, so we wouldn't want anyone to that happen here. No personal photography or filmography is permitted during the ceremony. This is due to data protection. Professional photographs are available to purchase, and a stream of the event will be available on YouTube. The link is on the graduation page. Professional photographs will be taken throughout the ceremony. If there is anybody who does not consent to their photo being taken today and used for publicity, please let myself or a marshal know. In the extremely unlikely event that we need to exit the building in a hurry, please remain calm and seated. Marshals will assist you in exiting the building. For staff on stage, they will exit to the left of the altar through the vestry. For people to my right, please exit through the rear tower door. For people to my left, please exit through the main entrance through which you came. Please wait to be directed by the marshals. When the ceremony has finished, the procession will leave the church and you will all be asked to stand. The procession will be followed by the graduates and finally our VIPs. Our remaining guests will then be asked to follow. We'd ask that you make your way to the marquee at the Vincent Centre for refreshments once the ceremony has concluded. If any children in the church become restless during the ceremony, we'd ask that you think about the service and perhaps leave and go to the auditorium or just take them outside for a brief moment. Finally, to the graduands, may I be the first to congratulate you on your achievement. When your name is called, please step onto the stage. You will shake the Chancellor's hand before looking to the camera to my left for your official photos. When you leave the stage, please walk down the centre aisle to the back of the church where a marshal will escort you back to your seat. Thank you. Please enjoy the ceremony and the rest of your day. Can I please ask you stand for the procession?
Please be seated.
Good afternoon, everyone, and may I welcome you on behalf of the University to this ceremony for the conferment of degrees, certificates, and an honorary degree. Today is a very special occasion, both for you, our new graduates, and indeed for your friends and family, and for the staff who have taught you. Achieving your degree or qualification from the University of Buckingham is a tremendous achievement and something of which you will always be proud. Here you've enjoyed the benefits of a very high and personalised standard of teaching from dedicated staff. And I know that you will have worked hard, perhaps at a distance, to achieve your goals. I hope you've also taken every opportunity you could to be an active part of the diverse and multicultural student body, which will have introduced you to people, experiences, traditions, and cultures from across the world. You are the latest in a long line of distinguished graduates from the University of Buckingham. As you look back on your time here and remember the support and encouragement you received, we hope you will continue to be proud of the university, to act as ambassadors for the university, and to enhance our fine reputation. I congratulate each and every one of you and wish you every good fortune in the career that lies ahead of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dame Mary, Dr. Tony Sewell, distinguished guests, distinguished faculty, graduates, and ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure to welcome you here today. Thank you for coming all this way. I give my heartfelt thanks to Dame Mary, for the distinguished chair of the Science Museum, and our Chancellor of the University. Thank you so much for coming all this way and being with us now and indeed throughout the week. And then warmest congratulations to all of you, the graduands and your families and friends who are gathered with us today to celebrate your achievements in the Faculty of Education. I look forward to meeting many of you personally after the ceremony in the marquee on the Balliff lawn, and wishing you then the warmest congratulations. I'm so glad you chose the University of Buckingham, our unique boutique university here in this fold of the River Great Ouse. The special graduation, of course, today is for education, to confer degrees and other certificates and diplomas. From, I understand, from 2020, 2021, and even some from 2022. We've waited a long time to be together, haven't we, through quite a difficult time. But it's particularly exciting to me to be at an education ceremony, because before I became Vice-Chancellor here, nearly 2 years ago, I had been an education professor, and for all of my life, my professional career, I had been in education, starting as a mathematics teacher in Zimbabwe, and then working in mathematics education research at the NFER, and later getting into working in various Russell Group universities around the country. And many of you, I see you sitting here and recognize my own face some many years ago, and thinking, what careers will you be doing? How will you work within teaching and elsewhere? And I remember when I was at your position and starting a career, and how my work developed. And in the end, I became an expert on private education. And private education, as everyone knows, this is 20 years ago, everyone knows private education is about privilege and about the elite. And there was something that disconnected with my being, where I wanted to be working or serving the poor. And so the bits of my life came together when I was doing some consultancy in South Central India, in Hyderabad. And on a day off from my consultancy work in a high-end private college, I went into the slums of the old city with a hunch about what I might find. And sure enough, going down an alleyway and another alleyway, I found a school, a private school, a low-cost private school, charging in those days just £1 or so a month. And then I found another and was soon connected to a federation of some 500 of these low-cost private schools. And you can imagine how the different parts of my life came together. An expert on private education, wanting to serve the poor and finding private schools for the poor. And I spoke to parents, mostly Muslim mothers in that part of Hyderabad, saying, why are you sending your children to the private schools when the government school is there and it's free, you get free lunch? And time again, I got the same message. In the government schools, our children are abandoned. And so I went to see one of the government schools. I went with the district education officer. And sure enough, the building was much superior to the private schools that were in the slums. But I went into the first classroom, and there were an image that will remain with me forever. There were 130 children on the floor amongst the mosquitoes, bright-eyed, eager young children, eager to greet this visitor, but not learning, because the teachers, as the parents had said, had abandoned the children. And day after day, there would not be teaching going on there. And I went back to where I was working at the time in Washington, D.C., the International Finance Corporation. I told people there's something remarkable going on in the slums of India. And they told me to calm down, Tuli. Calm down. You've seen maybe a few businessmen ripping off the poor. It wasn't what I'd seen. And I managed to get a big grant to study the same phenomenon. I went to Nigeria, to Ghana, to Kenya, to Uganda, other parts of India, and found the same phenomenon throughout these low-cost private schools, serving the poor, outperforming the government schools, and providing a wonderful service to poor communities. And then finally, my research took me to the most difficult parts of the planet, war-torn countries in Africa. First of all, Liberia and Sierra Leone, then on to South Sudan and Somalia, again cataloguing this amazing spirit, the amazing human spirit of poor people improving their conditions through their own work and knowledge. So it's been a real trip for me the last 20 or so years. Maybe some of you will go on a similar journey, or maybe some of you will work in local schools and still give of yourself in this career that we've all chosen of education. A marvelous career. I like to always in my talks give some mention of what's been happening in history on this day, July the 26th. And given the political shenanigans that have been going on, it's quite a relevant day actually, bearing in mind how much Boris Johnson admired Winston Churchill. On this day in 1945, the Second World War over, Winston Churchill lost the general election to Labour. He had helped the country get through the war, and then the British people voted for an alternative. And I think there's lots to learn from some of the things Winston Churchill said around that time. On winning the war, his modesty was exemplary, I think. He said, I have never accepted what many people have kindly said, namely that I inspired the nation. It was the nation and those dwelling all around the globe that had the lion's heart, he said. I had the luck to be called upon to give the roar. To give the roar, yeah. And so there was modesty in the face of victory, but then there were he has lots of quotes about perseverance and effort. Here's one: I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. And given the vagaries of the war, the ups and downs, and indeed the ups and downs of his life, and many of us will identify with ups and downs in our lives too, he said this line: success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And I think on a day like this, I want to give you a quote from Winston Churchill, which is about special occasions. It goes like this: "To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy," he went on, "if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour." And I like to think at Buckingham we have prepared and qualified you for whatever moments will come your way. Whatever moments will come your way when you can stand and be counted and have your finest hours. The Buckingham's motto is Alice Volans Proprius, flying on our own wings. I'd like to think that at Buckingham we have helped you to fly on those wings. We've helped you get your degrees, your life experiences. But please, we also want to be a part of your roots. Do see yourselves as part of a growing international family of alumni of the University of Buckingham. I wish you well in all the next stages of your life. Life won't all be plain sailing, but I know you'll get through. And keep in touch, please.
Chancellor, Professor John Drew, University Orator, will present Dr. Tony Sewell for the award of Doctor of Science of the University, honoris causa.
Chancellor, the University of Buckingham is led by a distinguished educationalist and boasts one of the fastest growing faculties of education in the country, also led by a distinguished educationalist. And in the presence of a talented graduating cohort of postgraduate students in education, it gives us particular pleasure to recognise the transformative achievements of Dr. Tony Sewell, CBE, in the same field over the last 3 decades. Dr. Sewell has extensive experience in the education sector, training first to be a teacher at Sussex University after a degree in English at Essex, and then working for many years in some of London's most challenging schools. He helped with the transformation of education in Hackney as part of the team that set up the Learning Trust and the Mossbourne School, work that had national significance given that it was the flagship of the academy movement and an inspired attempt to reimagine what inner-city, non-selective education could be. It was in this period that he worked at Nottingham University on his seminal PhD, African Caribbean Masculinity and Schooling. And this led to the establishment in 2005 of Generating Genius, a groundbreaking charity which works to ensure that talented British students from African and Caribbean backgrounds are positioned to excel in STEM careers. That's easy enough to say, Chancellor, but some detail is illuminating. In 2004, the nation had all but given up on London's young and poor talent. There was little belief that students from the most disadvantaged backgrounds could be successful in some of the toughest jobs. But Tony Sewell knew that although students face challenges due to their race and other socio-economic factors, if we gave them the right attention, he could generate and nurture the genius, pushing them into the toughest jobs in STEM. In summer 2004, he took 10 boys to a rigorous skills-based university summer school at the STEM Institute at the University of the West Indies, and the rest is history. Generating Genius has been working now for over 15 years to ensure that talented and able students from disadvantaged backgrounds are positioned to excel. And in this way, he has made a new and far-reaching impact on social mobility. And in the last couple of years, generating genius student intake has doubled to 4,000 and been expanded to cover all ethnicities. In 2013, Chancellor Dr. Sewell was invited to lead the Mayor of London's education inquiry into London schools. And this resulted in the London Schools Excellence Fund, a £25 million programme that helped London schools to achieve top grades for their students. Through the fund, teachers worked with universities, subject experts, and professional subject associations to develop their teaching and refresh their subject knowledge across the priority areas of English, maths, chemistry, computer science, physics, and modern and ancient languages. Over 100 projects, the majority led by the schools themselves, were funded, and over 13,000 teachers benefited. Project reports were enormously powerful in terms of impact and the manifest enthusiasm of teachers for this kind of subject-based professional development, which has carried through into the long-term legacy of the programme. More recently, from July 2020 to March 2021, Dr. Sewell chaired, unpaid, the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities, CRED, the most substantial and wide-ranging review of racial disparities in the UK in over 20 years, which has resulted in a new government approach and policy agenda on race. His novel approach was unlike previous reviews, using evidence to understand causes of disparities and examining positive as well as negative ethnic minority outcomes. As a former long-serving chair of the Equality and Human Rights Committee was to put it, he brought a scientific approach to a problem that bedevils Western societies. And as with all science, new data often means that we need to change our theories. Dr. Sewell ensured that the CRED heard testimony from 250 experts and organisations and examined over 2,300 responses to the call for evidence. The review spent most of its life under lockdown restrictions, a uniquely challenging set of circumstances. But Dr. Sewell's gregarious nature and immense time commitment and energy overcame this to bond together the Commission members who came themselves from diverse ethnic and professional backgrounds and were previously unknown to each other. Race is a sensitive, contentious topic, Chancellor. So the CRED's report attracted much comment, even furore, in the media. But the solidarity Dr. Sewell built explains why all of the Commission's members stood firm by the report after publication, despite some false reporting and threats they were subjected to. Dr. Sewell's dignity in dealing with this and continued willingness to engage in public debate is an example of exemplary and courageous public service, one that will empower anyone in public life to remain true to their convictions. 23 of his report's 24 recommendations were accepted in full by government in their response, and his report will have enormous impact. Chancellor, Dr. Tony Sewell is committed to social mobility and the belief that, irrespective of background, an excellent education is a right, that the best values and knowledge embedded in our best state and independent schools can be shared with students from the widest of backgrounds. He has stood firm by those beliefs and commitments and shown them to be achievable through hard work and inspired leadership. It therefore gives the convocation of this university present here today great pleasure to invite him to come forward to receive his degree.
Dr. Sewell, by the authority of the university, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Congratulations.
Dr. Sewell will reply to convocation.
Thank you. That was a very loud applause, and thank you very much for that. I didn't recognise some of those things in there, but some of them were good. Look, can I thank the Vice-Chancellor and the Chancellor, students and parents, for allowing me to be part of your special day today. I noticed that the parents are over there and the students are here. Now, what tends to happen after you've graduated, or what seems to be happening, is that students tend to go home and live with their parents. Now, you're only meant to be there, not till you're 45, but you're only meant to be there for a little while, and then you're meant to be booted out and get your own place, yeah? So do remember that. I know parents may want them back or may not want them back, but that's something that you've got to work out. But it is a great time to graduate, and I just really want to kind of share with you, you've been through these years of study, and you've been stuffed full of great knowledge, and may some of it be useful, probably most of it not, but hopefully some of it will be. And there's always this supposed disconnect between what you learn in the academy, in the university, and what's useful in the real world. And however, there's one man in the history, and it could have been a woman, but it's a man in this case, who was able to resolve this dilemma. And his name was Alexander the Great, the Greek general and adventurer. And I think I'll take you back to the 4th century BC. And according to legend, Alexander the Great, as it was termed later, and a lot of the stuff was probably made up after his death, but some of it is real. And well, a lot of it is real in some cases. And I think that one of the things that's interesting about his adventure was when he entered the Persian city of Gordium and found an ancient wagon on a post and an elaborate knot across this chasm. And its yoke was secured by what later Roman writer described as several knots, all tightly entangled, and it was impossible to see how they were fastened. And according to legend, the knot really would be the answer to conquering, in this case, the rest of Asia. Now, his lieutenants and great minds spent hours trying to figure out how to untie this knot, and without joy. Alexander approached this knot almost as Tiger Woods would approach a putt. We're looking at it and trying to assess how to deal with this to win a championship. And then out of nowhere, he decided, I'll just take my sword out and just give it a whack. And that was it. It was done. Job done. And after contemplating the Gordian knot for some time, Alexander decided just to cut through all the nonsense and use his sword. And the prophecy was fulfilled, and Alexandria was off through the gates. Now, he was no fool. And like you, in a sense, he went to a great university, and he had the pleasure, really, of studying under Aristotle. And like today, he was packed full of knowledge. However, he was smart enough to know that often the direct approach, the no-nonsense tactic, was the best way forward. It didn't mean that the academic knowledge was useless. It had value in itself. And what he did learn from Aristotle was confidence and courage would enable you to cancel the noise that often is around a very simple solution. My advice to you in this short message is that there is a lot of noise out there, mainly online, much of it grounded in non-scientific knowledge, pushed by prejudice, opinion, and grudges. However, Alexandra carefully weighed up all those approaches to untying the knot and found that he needed to cut through all the popular opinion because it didn't want to find the solution. To be honest, cutting through that knot, why didn't they just take out a sword and cut it themselves? They didn't really want a solution. Often through vested interest, often by keeping us all tied up in knots with different types of theories, not able to see really what the reality was in front of them, not really able to take on the evidence that was clear for the solution. In my own work on looking under achievement, particularly I think of, you can look at it for black boys or white working class boys, whatever you want to call them, I heard a lot of noise. It was blaming white teachers, it was a Eurocentric curriculum, there wasn't enough black teachers. It was a hangover from slavery. None of these really were able to kind of untie that knot of why that group was underachieving. I simply found it was high expectations of all pupils and the schools that effectively delivered great results for all pupils. That was the cut through. I call it the Alexandra approach, if you like. And that was about finding success in the mainstream. And this powered black performance today. And now we have a situation where, in fact, black boys do very well, and in the majority of cases, outperform all other groups. So really, my call today is a simple one. You should be proud of what you have achieved, but like Alexandra the Great, use that wonderfully honed mind to cut through all the fanciful theories that may confirm mere prejudice. Seek out the real causes of a scandal or a headline, and then ask, what is the most effective solution? Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Chancellor, I call upon Professor Barnaby Lennon, Dean of the Faculty of Education, to present candidates for awards of the University of Buckingham in Education.
Hello everybody. I was a teacher for 40 years, still am. I'm in touch with friends from school and university. And although some of them have made more money than me, I'm so pleased that after I left university, I decided to be a teacher. And I hope you have that feeling too. The joy of being able to stay close to a subject I loved. The discovery that I could continue throughout many years to develop my understanding of my subject while taking on new responsibilities as the years ticked by. I never, ever found teaching boring. I often found it riveting, and not enough people say that of their jobs. The fun of working alongside like-minded colleagues, the everyday drama of school life, the terrible things some pupils do, the wonderful things some pupils do, the fact that few jobs have the capacity to make so much difference to the lives of people. The other day, I was invited for coffee with an army general who claimed that I had taught him in 1980. He meant little to me, I'm afraid, except for the fact that the coffee was a reminder to all us teachers that in some small way that had significance to him, I had said or done something that he still remembered and which had had a helpful impact on his life. In 30 years' time, most of your pupils will remember you. Many will be grateful, especially for pressing on during those dimly remembered days of that virus. Many will remember a good deal of what you taught. Some will recall individual lessons and even specific things that you said in individual lessons. No one told me that that would happen when I was doing teacher training. So you are the key workers. We teachers, we may not be overwhelmingly wealthy, but we are so rich and so clever for having chosen a profession which leads to a life which is brimming with interest and full of moral purpose. So, Chancellor, I present to you the graduates in education. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Khadiza Begum with distinction. Kaylee Bernard with distinction. Seema Bibi. Charlotte Binks with distinction. Ehsan Boomlaki with distinction. Scott Bratt. Daniel Briscoe with distinction. Robert Brooke. Terry Marie Buckley with distinction. Freya Burrows. Mark Burton. Sarah Louise Cakebread. Paul Carroll. Thomas Casemore. Zaki Chandia. Rosie Church. Alice Clothier with distinction. Celia Coleman. Jennifer Cooney with distinction. Alice Doolan with distinction. Chantel Doyle Benham. Clarissa Dunn with distinction. Grace Dutch with distinction. Shauna Easton. Princess Equibellum. Leanne Fairweather. Ghulam Fatima with distinction. Sky Fitzpatrick. Happy Fontura. Abigail Foster Brown with distinction. Billy Fuller. Imogen Gabriel. Luke Gibson. Emma Gota with distinction. Holly Grady with distinction. Alexander Green. Keris Greer. Maria Griever. Katie Hamilton. Grace Hatton. Safreen Hyatt. Catherine Herriot with distinction. Roisin Hickey with distinction. Thomas Hooper. Jade Hopcroft with distinction. Ashlyn Hopkins. Arusa Hussain. Sanya Lias with distinction. Alice James with distinction. Anis Joy. Thomas Kemba. Aisha Khan. Rumana Khatun with distinction. Nikki Kiss. Laura Gettings. Samuel Lawrence with distinction. Susanna Lee. Christina Lewis with distinction. Thomas Long with distinction. Megan Lovick with distinction. Sarah Lunt with distinction. Madeline Marsh. Amber McClelland. Georgia McHenry with distinction. Stephen McKenty. Sarah McNeil with distinction. Marlene Mendes. Sam Miller with distinction. Saeda Labour Mir with distinction. Dina Mistry. Leonie Malloy with distinction. Georgia Morris with distinction. Karen Oliver. Eloise Paley. Grace Player with distinction. Mustafa Ra'i with distinction. Shamin Rashid. Ashley Richardson with distinction. Megan Roberts with distinction. Hannah Robinson. Grace Rogers with distinction. Alice Rushton with distinction. Suganya Satyamurthy. Iram Shah. Sarina Shah with distinction. Jasmine Shaw. Charlotte Shaw McDowell with distinction. Olivia Sherrod. Henrietta Small. Jessica Stapleton. Neymar Sultana. Jessica Tanner with distinction. Natalie Taylor. Eleanor Titley. Jonathan Tightman. Safia Truman with distinction. Dilek Yukan with distinction. Miriam Wallace with distinction. Simon Wharton. Imogen White. Stephanie Whitton with distinction. Ellie Williams. Joanna Wolfe with distinction. Natalia Yabi Atram. For the award of Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Catherine Aston. Madonna Shembri. Nicole Smith. Zaniutan Udin. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation.
The Chancellor will now conclude this ceremony.
As the Registrar has just said, this ceremony is now drawing to its close. May I again congratulate all our new graduates, our diploma and certificate holders, and wish you all good fortune in the next stage of your careers. As you leave the university, you will take with you, wherever you go and throughout your life, the knowledge you have acquired at Buckingham of educational theory and practice, equipped as you are with the skills and knowledge to rescue young minds from the pain and tyranny of ignorance, flying on your own wings and helping your pupils to fly on their own wings. May I also say what a pleasure it was for me to confer an honorary doctorate on the distinguished educational consultant, Dr. Tony Sewell, in rightful recognition of the signal contribution he has made to the constructive and fair-minded public discourse across the country about equality. His independence of mind is mirrored in the ethos of independence that permeates the very spirit of this university. This ceremony is now concluded. Thank you.
Please be upstanding.